So we'll do our critique as we talked about. Thank you for your hard work with your projects all semester and specifically for Project 4. One of these, part of our task, right, is to not only present the work, but also very briefly touch upon some of the visual vocabulary that we've learned, right? Don't force it, right? Just, if it's evident in the piece, talk about it. And if someone else sees something that you don't think to bring up, that'll be part of the discussion afterwards, okay? So that's a little bit flexible for sure. Just a couple, right? I think that would be really satisfying to talk about, right? And then as well, when you're doing that, try to contextualize how you're talking about your work within all the work that we've done this semester, right? So for our first assignment, we started out with the toolbox, right? And there's something that I love and hate about that assignment in which it's all spelled out for us, right? We have these directions that we use so that we all go through the same processes, right? And then with each assignment, it kind of opened up so we could all follow our own track, right? So with that, who would like to go first?
Yeah, so for this piece, I was definitely pulled in the direction of like movement, and like when you talked about having like one moving piece, like you can say something about being like the biggest piece on the project. So I really like the idea of having something that I would like use in the future, that I could like either give to someone or like put in my own home, like whatever it may be, like something that I felt was like really finished. The main thing that I really like about like the concept of like this type of item is that like it's something that like brings people together and like allows you to share things. Like that's like the first thing I think of when I think of like a lazy Susan on like a dinner table. It's like all the food is there and you have a bunch of people coming together and then you're like passing things to each other like via this piece. So I like that it's like an interface between like human contact and just like whether it's like family gatherings or something like that, just like time when people like get to share, like conversation, food, and memories and things together. So I love the idea of like having this be a part of that in the future. Yeah, so like the books I think just help you see like that like this is a piece that can be viewed from so many angles. And I think that like the roundness of it, especially with the edge that the router gave, like gives like the idea of movement, like even if it's stationary, like you can like the edges kind of go.
I feel like this piece really shows a lot like about your artwork and like the kind of artist you are. Like I think everything you do is so precise, and I'm thinking back to your first piece where you made those the gears, and it was like you just kind of eyed it, but it still came out like so clean. And I feel like this just comes back to a circle. Like it just reminds me of the gears and how you were able to like come out so clean. So it's a really nice piece.
It popped into my mind how difficult it is to make functional work that also satisfies, but make it art, right? Like there's only so much you can do to something that is already preset, and so first and foremost, if your goal was to make one of these in kind of a complicated way, right? Mm-hmm. And have a function, I very much think you've succeeded, right? But definitely to echo Sammy's comment about how you can sort of just eye a circle, right? And make that successful.
Really easy, but
well, I did see you like use a rope, right?
Yeah. I drew one, but then it was like getting it to.
Yeah, it's not laser cut.
Yeah.
And I think there's this fine line between like art and craft, right? Where do you see the hand, and where does it look like we're not supposed to see the hand? Mm-hmm. That you negotiated well with this. Congratulations. We'll keep it moving.
So this is my piece. I titled it I Hate Elevators. And so this piece kind of meant something to me because I despise elevators, and so I really wanted to portray a sense of like claustrophobia and like you don't want to be in this thing at all. I put these metal wires, I was trying to make the elevator look like a cage. So I painted the whole thing metal, so it looks like this metallic, just like contraption that you don't want to be in at all. And then I also have like the wires that make the bars kind of sticking out. which I thought looked cool, almost like these spikes.
I could understand what you're feeling, and I think like if you put like maybe a door on it, or like a side here, and like where you opened it up, where like the elevator is almost like trapped in all four sides, like that might make a better way to create like maybe this more ominous feeling because you don't know what's in there exactly. It's like almost reminiscent of like a coffin, so like the feeling of death when you're in. Not to bring up coffins again, but like this feeling of death you feel when you're in an elevator. Or
I think that narrowing comment is really interesting, and I also think like maybe something about it depends how narrative you want to get, but something about like these different floors that are possible, and that could either be on the back side, it could be on the sides, or it could, to make it more of a contained space, it could be like suggested somehow in this frame of view, so that we're faced with this feeling of possibly stepping into an elevator, right? But overall, you know, without being too complimentary, right? I think that this ties together a lot of your interests over the semester in terms of the first piece, right? Even color-wise, it's very similar to that first piece, which I think is unusual. And then for the third piece, it seems like you've taken a lot about what you've learned about conceptual making, right? Thinking about not just, you know, the craft elements required in making something out of wood, but also what it might say. And so I feel like you challenge yourself on a number of levels, kind of a self-assignment to yourself. And I see all those as very much succeeding in this piece.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
All right, so if you remember, I was like pretty sure what I was going to do for this project, like the entire time, like making what I drew from like previous projects. I think it's pretty obvious. Like my second project, like with the bridge and the box, it's pretty similar. I mean, it's like a different stain, but it's like the same idea. Something I learned from that though was that I'm not as precise as I think I am. So like when I was putting everything together at the end, the edges didn't line up, and that just like really annoyed me. So like by using like the corner pieces, it kind of took away from the opportunity for that to happen. Because I don't know, it's just easier to match it up if you're not not doing like the wood to wood, so it's less obvious if there is some just like unbalance there.
If you did like one of these, like your like corner pieces, but kind of, you know, I know you said you didn't want to be like too close to it, but if you kind of just made it maybe a little bit larger, so
Fudge it.
like it like kind of just sat within it almost, and you wouldn't even like you wouldn't have to cover the staples; they would still be there, but you just wouldn't see it when it's on its pedestal style. And then it also kind of maybe when you close the box, it wouldn't end so abruptly. It would still have like that nice like gold, because I think like the contrast of that and the dark wood behind it is like really nice. So if that kind of continued all the way around the top, it would be like.
I don't really believe in these kinds of maxims because I think they really oversimplify, right? But like one is your portfolio is only as good as your baddest image, right? So in a piece, right? You know, it's only as good as like the one part that, you know, sticks out, right? I don't believe that, but it is to say that, you know, that's kind of where we all end up on, is that one spot. So I think, you know, you could either cut or purchase, I think pretty safely, like a thin trim, right? But the problem there becomes that's almost too thin of a visual detail, right? You know, so you might not want that. But I think, you know, if you had fudged it a bit, you could kind of negotiate some of that, and then it becomes both trim and also a lip. If you want to take it even further, I'm not sure how, you know, because one of the parts of the conversation was this kind of reverence or respect for making a skateboard, right, as something that I believe your father had done, right? And that you wanted to like, you know, physically elevate that to an art form, which this does, you know, splendidly, right? Fantastic, good job. Thank you for a fantastic critique and a wonderful semester.
Thank you, Stephen.
Oh, you're welcome.